Welcome back. So let's just go ahead and reboot these machines since the installation is finished. Reboot, restart. Let's take a look at my load on my processor cores. So it's dropping a little bit now. You can see that some of them are maxed out, some of them were in red, and now it's dropping because the systems are not yet fully loaded. But you can see the amount of RAM that is being occupied at the moment. It says 9 gigabytes out of 16. So 9 gigabytes of occupied memory is a lot out of 16 on the system, and you can see immediately as the machines are beginning to boot, this is jumping pretty bad. It's gonna go forward. So you can see my average load on the processor during this time, but also the uptime of a laptop machine, which was 4 days. Literally, like, didn't even reboot or anything like that. Not sleep, but this is uptime for 4 days and 14 hours. You can see that the cores are jumping as the machines are getting set up. I'm just gonna go ahead and move that away from our sites. Let's see, how did we do? Unmounting temporary file systems. Ubuntu needs an enter, so for Ubuntu just press enter. And for our admin, we don't have a GUI, but I'm pretty sure that we should. Okay, so let's become root here, and let's type in start x not found. Give me init 5 then. Now I do not seem to have a graphical user interface here, even though I have specifically stated that I wanted to install GNOME. Even though it was a minimal install, it should have picked it up from the net, but it didn't, which is wonderful. No worries. We can always do things manually. Yum search GNOME. This is gonna give a few packages, and it's, oh, don't go through the updates now. Determining the fastest mirrors. Always hated this. I suppose I could cancel it and issue a no update command prior to the search, but generally not the brightest of things to do. I can't even expand it. Okay, so I can just capture my keyboard in the machine and then just use page up to scroll and to find out what it is that I need. GNOME sessions keyrings. You know, I am truly tempted to just type in GNOME wildcard and install everything GNOME that begins with GNOME. But should be a file for desktop installation here, and then it's gonna pick up all the dependencies automatically. Not a bad idea to know how to install your graphical environment in a manual fashion. GNOME backgrounds, Bluetooth boxes. I do believe that it's the first one, but let's just do this grep I desktop. And we have x86 Arch 64. Okay, so let's just take that one. Yum install. And pray to whatever god you know or wish for this to work. So GNOME desktop 3. Sorry, not development. We need x86.64. This should actually be picked up by default, but hey. Let's see. It should. No package available. It should pick up the dependency. It should pick up the dependencies as well. GNOME. Let's see. I mistyped that probably. GNOME desktop 3.x86 64. There we go. Oh, it has a lot of things that it wants to download and install. I'm gonna go ahead and say yes and rely on my internet connection that it will be able to support this. Although these packages are rather small, you can see that it's all in kilobytes. Retrieving, sure, retrieve the key. And it's gonna run with this. So while this is running, we can just go over and check how our how our Ubuntu machine is working out. So you can see that on the Ubuntu machine, we don't really have the guest editions installed. So while this is running, we might as well do that. So let's log in and just wait for it a little bit. It's rather slow. First of all, it's a virtual machine. Second of all, it's running on a single CPU core. Well, it's probably not even running on a single CPU core. It's running on a hyperthread. Sorry, not hyperthread. It just has a separate thread of its own, but one single thread, and that's all it can execute per unit of time. Okay, so let's open up a terminal and let's do sudo apt-get space install Dkms. This is gonna run as well. We need these things for our guest edition so that we may expand this across the entire screen, which will be very nice. Okay, so the installation seems to be done. Try a reboot. Maybe that shall help out. Okay, CentOS 7 core. It's booting, so no big deal. Let's see how far it actually gets. Okay, so this is done. Go into devices, go into insert guest editions. In case you didn't see it, I went into devices and clicked on insert guest editions. And then I'm just going to go ahead and click on run. It's going to prompt me for a root password. I'm going to say authenticate. And now this is going to run. The guest editions shouldn't take too long. I knew you were going to make me do this. Oh well, no big deal. Well, let's go ahead and type it in. Admin. Let's go ahead and log in. We're gonna have to seem to have pressed space there. No big deal. Okay, so let's become root. I'm gonna do a group install, so that should be of some use. The letters will become bigger. I cannot make them physically any bigger because this is a VM without guest editions. Once the guest editions are installed, then we will be able to make things bigger. Let's go ahead and type in yum group install GNOME desktop graphical. Did I type this in? Graphical administration tools. Let's see. Okay, it's loading them up. You can see that there are quite a bit. I'm just gonna go ahead and let that run in the back. Probably need to say why from time to time. Might ask me a few more questions, but there are a lot of packages that it needs to install, like 919, which is a lot. Okay, so let's see how the guest editions have been. Setting up Windows system to use guest editions done. You should restart to make sure that they're used. Done. Okay, so no big deal. This is up and running. The VM. Now we need to reboot the machine. Sorry, sudo reboot. Let's go ahead and type in the password and use the sudo to reboot. So it's gonna go and reboot. No big deal. So nothing terribly important there. On this machine, on our server machine, we need to again log in. And I'm just going to go ahead and log in as root because most of the operations that I'm going to perform will be I will need root access for them anyway. Oh, by the way, just check this out. When I log into Ubuntu now, give it time. Single core performance, so amazing. Is it gonna work? Yes, it will. There we go. So I can actually expand it across the entirety of my screen, which will make things a lot simpler from the point of our workstation where we will conduct our work. So just want to show you how that actually looks like. This down below will take a while until all these things are installed, and while that is happening, I am going to go ahead and enter this server of ours. And what we need to do here is configure SSH, make it functional, and make sure that it actually works. If we make sure it works, we will no longer need to bother with the server directly. Rather, instead, we will be able to access it from a full-size screen on our workstation, and we can move our server to the background. Okay, so what we need to do is type in yum install open ssh. This should be the package name if I remember correctly from before. If it is not, we can easily look for it. It's not really a big deal. Again, it's doing some updates. It's looking for it. Perhaps it is installed already, but I purely doubt it on a minimal install. Although, no, it is not installed. We gotta install it. So yes, and yes. Again, it's gonna go and run, import those keys. Complete, done, excellent. So our SSH is up and running. The next thing that we need to do is punch a hole in the firewall of this VM in order for us to make SSH accessible and usable. So the first thing that we're going to need to do is type in IP. Well, first we can check if SSH is running actually. So systemctl status sshd. It is active and it is running. Oh, a good idea would be to do this IP. Actually, we need to punch a hole in our firewall. So IP tables, and we're gonna do -I for insert and then input, and we're gonna make that the first rule. So I would like you to accept traffic on port 22 with protocol being TCP. The port destination port will be 22, so when connection is coming from outside with the destination port of 22, that will be accepted. J accept, and yep, that's it actually, just -J accept. Now that we have that rule, we can do these changes to the IP tables. They're not permanent. First reboot, this is going to change. This will not persist, which is very nice. You can always revert it back to whatever it is that you wish. No big deal. So that we have that, we can type in ifconfig. ifconfig. Oh, hey, I think they finally removed ifconfig. So we'll need to use iplist. IP. Well, ifconfig was kind of depreciated, but perhaps they have finally decided to actually remove it in CentOS. Let's just give it one more try. Nah. We shall have to use IP space link. Okay, so what do we got? We have two interfaces. One is the loopback interface, and the second interface is, well, its state is up. It's ENP0 S3, but I can't really see the IP address here, or can I? Nope, that's a MAC address, and that's the nope. I need the PADDR. Yep, there we go. So it's 192.168.1.4 with the /24. Okay, so let's see if we can actually successfully connect via SSH to this server. Normally we would connect from the workstation, but since this is being installed at the moment, I would like to test this connection out in Ubuntu and see if it is actually working out. So let's pop open a terminal. Let's just move this here and type in, of course I have to install it here as well, apt-get install open ssh, unable to find package open ssh. Well, that's the server, but maybe they have the client installed here. They do have the client installed. Excellent. Because by default, usually in a Linux system, you will have the SSH client installed. SSH, and we want to be... I have no idea which user I have created here. Let's do cat, let's see, pass wd creator. Okay. SSH creator at 192.168.1.4. Okay, so you need to type in yes here to confirm that this is indeed the person you wish to connect to, because this is the first time I am connecting to this IP that has this particular fingerprint, which we have not used before, so obviously it is suspicious. It says warning, permanently added 192.168.1.4 to the list of known hosts. It's prompting me for a password. I'm gonna give it a password, and let's see, will this work out for us? Once we establish an SSH connection to the server, from that point on we can fully control it, especially if we can elevate our privilege status to root. And I do believe that I have succeeded. There we go. So let's just zoom this in, zoom this out actually. And I am in that computer indeed. So look, I shall prove it to you. I can do some file creation, etc., but really you can just check the IP addresses. They haven't removed ifconfig in Ubuntu yet. So look, it's, well, okay, let's not use the depreciated command, addr. So in Ubuntu, on interface ETH0, the IP address is 192.168.1.5/24. Well, you don't need to look at /24 now. Just look at this one, 192.168.1.5. But look at what happens when I type exactly the same command here, addr. The interface name is first of all completely different. It's enp0s3, what we have seen a moment ago on the different on our server machine, and here it says 192.168.1.4. So we are at the moment in command of that machine, and I do believe that we can elevate our privileges with su, and we can just do this, and there you go. Now I am at root. So who am I? I am root. And there you have it. That is how we would connect via SSH. We have SSH set up on our server. To exit, I'll just type in exit and then exit again, and there you go. It says connection to 192.168.1.4 closed. Now it might ask you some questions. It might find it suspicious when the IP address of the server changes, and probably will change because this is not a static IP address. We could assign it static IP address here, but I don't know how networking at your place functions, so I'm just gonna leave it at this.